welcome back to Lartman Farms. Today I brought you to my office, and this is where we do a lot of the conceptualization of our ideas, and then we make sure that we make them happen. So in today's episode, I have a system, and it reads over here IBC aquaponics design, and you are going to see how we are going to convert this kind of idea into this. This kind of aquaponics design, we are working with a split flow design. With a split flow design, what you are trying to do is you are going to culture fish, and then we are also going to be able to culture some plants. What I have here is just a simple setup, and the first of them is my IBC tank, which is this one. And then in my IBC tank, I made sure there is an aerator that's going to produce oxygen for the fish. And then I built a small system here, which is supposed to help the water to move. So this is a solid lifting outlet. So the arrows is going to tell you the direction of the water. So all waste at the bottom of the tank will be collected by this. It will run through a piping, and then it will go into a 125-liter barrel. The water is supposed to travel down, climb up, and then it's supposed to drop down. And then a lot of the solids are supposed to be at the bottom. Then this small thing that I put over there is going to be, whenever we need to change the water, we have a lot of solids being trapped at the bottom. We can just open a valve here, and then it will suction the waste out. Then from here, the water will travel into this kind of a barrel, which is going to be my canister filter. And we will have to fill it with some nets and what have you, and then a sump tank, and then there will be a water pump. Then where we say the split flow is from the water pump, when the water comes up, one part of the water goes back into the fish pond, and then another part will go into the grow bed. All right, so let's go to the farm. Yeah, so I needed to get to this famous hut, which has visited a lot of sites. Some of you guys have seen me wear this, and so I always keep it all around me. And yeah, so this is the setup we've been able to build now, and to be able to break down the different components. Every single thing we have in this setup were things we already had available. The only things we did buy were just a few plumbing materials. So before this whole place was plain, there wasn't anything over here. So these IBCs you see over here were just like these ones, but what we did was to just cut them and flip them into two. So we had 4 different sets of them, and then we were using this in the hatcheries, but now they have no use, and so we decided to use them in this kind of setup. So what we did was just to clean them nicely, and then we elevated them from the ground. The reason why we elevated them from the ground was we were going to use only one water pump, and so we needed to take advantage of gravity. If it is down, then we would need to still use an extra pump to pump the water into our sump tank. So we used 3 of them, and the 3 of them are now serving as our deep water culture beds. And over here, we are going to plant our leafy greens. And then the last one, which is at the bottom of the setup, is going to serve as a sump tank. Then we have some 125-liter barrels all around. I have about like 6 or 7 pieces. So I decided to just use one as my radial flow filter, and then this one as my fish tank. Now for the fish tank, we already had some tilapia in the backyard. So we just transferred all of them into this kind of space. I built this together with my team. Shout out to you guys. And it took quite a number of days. We decided to start by the ladies taking care of maybe just giving a little bit of some assistance, but then most importantly, trying to get us this shape for the styrofoam boards. So when you look at the styrofoam boards, it's floating in the water. So we are going to have our plants going to be in this kind of cap. So there is a net cap, but because we don't have a net cap, and then we have these caps already available, we decided to solder them and then get the hose, and then also we decided to also try and then cut holes so that this would sit into this nicely. So we have about 42 different holes per raft, and it sits in the water like this. So in this kind of aquaponics system, no soil. It's a soilless system. And then we have one here, another one here, and another one here as well. Now, before we did the plumbing, I made sure I placed all the plumbing materials together, make sure they are fitting quite well before I decided to now add the glue to the entire system. One of the things I forgot to mention was around this, which is serving as a canister filter. A canister filter is basically a filter that is going to trap your solid. So anything net which can hold your fish pool, that becomes your canister filter. So now let's go deeper into what we have over here in our backyard. Yeah, so right before I get into it, I mentioned that this is our IBC tank, which is having over 40 pieces of tilapia. We are going to weigh them, and then we are going to get the average weight so that we'll be feeding them accordingly as we are supposed to. Now, to continuously break down the setup, we have an aerator, which is making sure that the fish has enough oxygen from time to time. And then the next set of things we are doing is water is entering the system every single point in time. So every time, 24/7, water is supposed to be entering the system and water is supposed to exit the system. Now, to explain deeper with the solids lifting outlet. Yes, I've been able to disconnect my SLO, and this solids lifting outlet, this is how I built it. So this is going to sit at the bottom of your tank, and then when it sits at the bottom of your tank, you leave a little bit of space to create a suction, and then it suctions the water. But then instead of an elbow, I decided to use a T over here and then allow some air into the system. So what that's going to do is whenever there is a possibility of power outage, it's going to prevent the suctioning from taking out all the water in your tank. Yeah, so now I've been able to put that in back again. Then the water is supposed to flow from this end through this pipe. Now what I've done is, this is a 2 inches pipe and 2 inches valve to just make sure that the flow is at a higher rate. So initially I had closed it because of I was removing the outlet. And then my radial flow filter, which I am not done building, but come and take a look at something. You can see that a lot of the waste from the fish tank is coming out, and that's massive. You can see them coming out, and that's what you want to do. You want to be able to collect a lot of your waste. Instead of having a pump over there to do the suctioning for me, the solids lifting outlet is doing that for me, and it's working very, very well. So now the wastewater goes into this tank, which is my radial flow settler. And then I've kind of like elbowed it like a U shape. Now the next thing I'm supposed to do is to get a bigger pipe, use it on this to direct the water down. A lot of the solids will be collected at the bottom of the tank. Then from here, it is supposed to enter into my canister filter. Now my canister filter, come and check the flow rate from the canister filter. So over here, I do have these things are like mats that we use sometimes to clean our plates and what have you in the homes. So I bought quite a number of them, and you can see that they've trapped a lot of the solids for me. Then I have over here an aquarium mat, and this aquarium mat is also doing a lot of good things for me. What I'll do is I'll have to clean this because it's looking very, very dirty. And so water runs into this, it passes through all of this. Then something interesting is happening at the bottom of my tank, which will be that I have punched holes in this tank. So when water goes into the canister filter, it just goes to the bottom and then the water is being suctioned by the use of this pump. I'm very certain that within an hour, my fish do have their water being cleaned twice. And so this is where the concept of the split flow comes in. What I did was I put a union over here, just in case this pump is faulty. I can just open this and then disconnect the pump from what I have over here. And then I have other pumps just like this that I can replace with this particular one. So the water is being split, and then water runs here, water runs here. So the one that runs here is what you can see. There's a valve at the back end, and so then that's the water that enters into the pond on a constant basis. Then in this particular sump tank, I am also going to culture some beneficial bacteria. Now these beneficial bacteria, we are looking at the fish waste is going to contain a lot of ammonia, and for us to be able to break down the ammonia, you know, water quality is not static, it changes with time. Therefore, the water is going to deteriorate, and if it's going to deteriorate, it's as a result of the fish poo, excess feed, which remains in the system. So if the solids are being collected by my canister and my radial flow filter, then I still need to change the water quality, and therefore there are some beneficial bacteria in the environment. There is Nitrosomonas, Nitrobacter. They would convert whatever ammonia is in this system from nitrate to nitrite, which is quite less toxic to fish. And then that is where the next set of system that kicks in comes up, where the plants I am trying to culture over here. Currently, as I'm speaking to you now, we've nursed over 120 heads of lettuces, and these 120 heads of lettuces are going to all be planted into this. Now, if you have any ideas as to how I can hold these lettuces in this, that's okay. But what I have at the back of my mind is to use two different concepts. The first one will be to put gravels just to provide support for the root of the lettuce, or I'm looking at using anything that has a foam-like nature, which can still sit inside nicely, and then it will hold the shape of the root of the plant. So yeah, now for water to enter into these systems, I'm just using the 1-inch pipes, and what you have to do from time to time is to calculate the flow rate, which is very important when you're running a resec like this. So to calculate the flow rate, all you have to do is you have to know what's the capacity of the pump, what amount of water do you want to be changing from time to time, and then there's a valve inside this. You open the valve and then water enters into this. So the valve will allow you to set a flow rate for this particular raft. It is very good when you have each of your deep water culture beds being able to have their own valves to control them. Then the bottom of the tank, we did the plumbing where you can also turn the pipe, and just like that, as you can see over here, water is entering into this system. So this is supposed to be running simultaneously from time to time. So the same thing you do over here, the same thing you do in the second system, and then the same thing is also done in the third system. But because at the moment I am not having any plants in this, I decided to just shut them off. In the meantime, I'll bring a lot of updates as to what developments we see in our setup. Then the next set of things we had to do was to aerate. Now, aeration is very important for your fish, but then it's also very important for your crop. So in the meantime, we have done some connections to give aeration to the setup, and every single bed has its own aerator which will provide oxygen. And then we'll just put some of the air stones in front of that place and then make sure that the roots of the plant do have oxygen from time to time. Now, if you are able to run this very efficiently, it will mean that you are going to be able to save about you're going to use about like 10 to 20% of the total amount of water you would have used to culture your fish. That is if you are going to be doing the regular every 2 days or every 3 days, you are changing the water in your pond. This kind of system we've built is not permanent. We've made sure what we have over here, we can tweak it from time to time. We are always experimenting, and you can also experiment as well. So to prevent our electrical connections from being beaten by rain or what have you, I decided to also get the same barrel I use for my canister filter. I decided to get some over here. And so in this, what I've done is, when you come closer, you can see that I have the aerator in this, and then I also have all my connections over here. So to an extent, I know that I'm not going to have any of these things getting tempered with or water entering into any of them. And the best place for me to put them would be under this entire setup. But yeah, if you have any better solution, or you think there is another a more classic way of doing this, you can always let us know, because we want to learn and grow together with you guys. And so yeah, we do have tilapia in this. The question would be, will this work for other freshwater fish as well? Yes, this kind of system can work for guppies, koi, any kind of freshwater fish that you would want to culture them very well. In Ghana, you can do tilapia, and then also you can do catfish with this kind of system as well. Quickly, for those of you guys who do love our catfish content, also we do have just some small catfish over here, which we are trying to soon enough probably run a couple of tests to see. We are trying to see how we can build certain kind of filters for this kind of system, where the fish can also have some amount of lovely growth. All right, so I just decided to drop the aerator into this for the catfish, and we have close to about like just 48 species of the catfish over here. Now, this tank was a tilapia tank, and if we had a lot of tilapia in this tank, they would have consumed all the algae, that is the green you are seeing in the tank. But catfish doesn't consume algae, so that's why we are having the population being high over here. And that's the reason why you aren't seeing a lot of algae bloom in this kind of tank. But then also, because we don't have catfish, we don't have the tilapia over here, the sump is going to have a lot of algae bloom. One of the ways we are trying to probably reduce the amount of spirogyra growth in this particular tank will be to get some of the styrofoam and then cover about 2/3 of this particular tank. Also put some net caps into it, and then enjoy some beautiful life. Now, the Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter, that's the beneficial bacteria which is in the environment, we are going to give them some surface. So we are thinking about different ideas as to what will be enough surface for the beneficial bacteria to grow and grow very efficiently in this kind of setup. Now, you would ask yourself, why do we have this black net over here? This is a 60% shade cloth, and the reason why we just put this over here is to prevent massive amount of sunlight entering into this tank. If it does enter into this tank, we would still see a lot of the algae blooms coming in. Now, I want you to see the efficiency of this particular radial flow filter, and then secondly, you see us clean, how we clean this particular one as well. So if, let's say, I want to do a quick water change in this system, what I can do is I can just shut this one off. So as you can see, there are a lot of solids, and all of these solids are fish waste, which is also very good fertilizer for us. So we are not going to throw this away. What we are doing is we are trying to, as much as possible, run a zero water waste system. So whatever waste is collected from this kind of system is going to be placed in other 125-liter barrels, and then now they would be introduced into a grow bed, which I'm trying to grow quite a number of things as well. The next thing we could also do is you can also allow this water to settle. So in your IBCs or whatever container you want to put your water in, You can allow the water to settle. You can introduce the good water back into the system, and then the one with all of the solids, you can use that for your grow beds. Now, moving on to the next thing. So I am going to drop this somewhere else. Yeah, so now you guys realized I didn't put off the water pump. I only closed this valve. So you have to always pay attention to the kind of setup you've built, because as you can see, the water is rising, it could overflow, and my fish could be out of the system. I have dogs, and then they would come and feed on them. So what I have to do is just open this, and then again, you see the water coming out quite steadily. So for the next set of things I'm supposed to do, I decided to put off the entire system, and then that is because I want to clean this canister filter. So you take out everything over here, and inside is very dirty. So aside that, then I have this. This is my aquarium mat, which is looking very, very dirty. And this system has been here for just a week. And then we have just regular nets. So let's clean them. How we clean our system, right? The bigger the fish, the more waste they are going to generate. And so if currently we are doing maybe once a week, a time is going to come where we are supposed to be doing maybe twice a week or 3 times a week, depending on the amount of waste which is generated in the system. They know I'm coming for them. We were trying to catch some of the fish. They were not coming. I don't also want to bait them with feed. So I'm just going to feed them and then watch. But you see, we had a water bin somewhere over here. And then now, so we are trying to replay power outage. So now everything is off and you can see that the water is dropping and water is flowing over here. Water is still coming into this. But what is going to happen is when the water gets to a certain level, which will be just around, not below this level, the flow will stop. So the suctioning will stop completely. And so you wouldn't have, there's no possible situation where your system would have water fully drained out of the system. And this is very, very important because there are times where we build our systems and then it either easily gets flooded and it overflows, or the suctioning when there's a power outage, then you come and then you don't have enough water in the tank. So now I think the fish are a bit more relaxed and calm, and I'm going to feed them with what they're supposed to eat today. Tilapia are top feeders. They come, take, and then they go down a little bit and come back again. So yeah, you weigh your feed depending on the quantity of fish you have and the weight, and then you do your feeding, if twice a day, 3 times a day, depending on the size of the fish. I've decided to still leave the system to be off so that they can focus, because I have agitated them a lot, and so I'll just allow them to just feed with a lot of calmness. Then I'll put on the system again, and then the whole activity starts. And this system runs 24/7, and we have a solar system which is supposed to be a backup, and we have a couple of challenges with the batteries, and we need to get some batteries. So currently we are just solely running on the national grid, which is seemingly reliant at the moment. But whenever we realize that this is becoming a challenge, we are saving towards buying batteries for our solar systems, because we already have all that it takes to run that. So we are going to be giving you a lot of updates via live streams and videos on this system, on the growth of the fish, and then after our lettuces are ready, and we come and we nurse them, and after nursing them we come and we transplant them. We'll let you guys see how the transplanting goes on. And then most importantly, I forgot to mention, when we put the fish into this system after a couple of days, we measured the ammonia, because we are supposed to convert the ammonia into nitrate and nitrite, right? So we have a way of measuring continuously every single time the levels of the ammonia, and then we want to see the ammonia which rises will get to a point where it will start dropping a little bit, because you have some nitrate, and then it will drop completely when we have some good levels of nitrite over there. That is the conversion of the ammonia into other less toxic components for your fish. So this whole thing is a system that we built, and you can do this in large scales using tarpaulin systems and what have you. So the ratio we are using is a fish is supposed to give us 3 heads of any of the leafy greens. Ideally we are doing lettuce for now. So if we have about 40 pieces of fish over here, we are supposed to be harvesting about 120 heads of lettuce, and we are going to see if this is possible in this kind of system. If it is, then you can also call on us to come and then do it for you as well. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and I'll catch you in our next live stream or next video. And if you have any questions, you can put them down in the comment section below, and please continuously like Lartman Farms videos, and we'll catch you same time. Bye.